Okay, and we're back. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Love and Golf, a podcast about our romantic, passionate, and sometimes twisted love affair with the game and the valuable lessons it's given us and what we give back to it. Now, with this episode, I want to kind of jump right in because there is a lot to cover. This is honestly the first time my guest and I have spoken, but I'm quite familiar with him and his work. Now, before we start, you may think that when you start on a career path that you have to stick with that line of work until you die, that once you embark on a particular professional journey, that's your journey and you got to stay the course. Now, Ian is living proof that that way of thinking and operating is just bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's the truth. That developing a skill is more important than mastering industry. And like mastering a skill is what we should focus on. Growing up, Ian has always loved brands, marks, logos, and honed his skill for branding on Capitol Hill, helping politicians connect with their intended audience for support. He then shortly pivoted his skills to an industry that he had a little bit more passion and love for. Now, Ian Gilley is the co-founder of Sugarloaf Social Club. For those who are living under a rock or do not know SSC or Sugarloaf Social Club, believe it or not, they were actually one of the first ever golf social media accounts on Instagram and one of the premier, if not the premier, golf lifestyle brand to ever hit the market. Ian and Sugarloaf were manufacturing, and for those who know, selling out apparel and accessories, honoring unique golf trends such as bucket hats, knitted head covers, leather goods, long before anyone else was doing it. Ian's love for golf has not only helped him launch one of the biggest and most successful niche lifestyle brands within golf, but helped him build a thriving strategic consulting business, Sugarloaf Creative Lab. Ian, I can go on and on and on about your successes, who you've worked with, like Pebble Beach, PGA National, Pinehurst, and more. But brother, I kind of want to just hand the mic to you and let you kind of riff and catch everyone up to speed before we dive into the juicy stuff. So Ian, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Michael, thank you for having me. Big fan of what you're doing with Molly as well. And yeah, excited that you're embarking on a podcast now. That was really well said. That had us pretty well covered there. I think just to add on a little bit, I mean, it really, like, I really believe in like manifest destiny. Like if you like, stuff is not just gonna come to your plate, around the corner, luckily one day. Like you have to, follow your passions, and like if you want something, you kind of gotta take some risks and go do it. And time and time again, I think we've seen people be incredibly successful with things that they're passionate about. And I feel very fortunate. Like I was kind of like born into a golfing family, and just grew up around the game my whole life, and had my ups and downs for sure. And I'm sure we'll get into some of that, but I wasn't satisfied with the way my non-golfing career was going, and just had a thirst and hunger to be around brands, but specifically in the golf space. And my dream always was to have my own brand someday. And so to get to do both of those things simultaneously, like help brands start and continue and build that I admire, and luckily get to work on my own stuff as well. I mean, it's truly amazing. And as you know, the golf world is super small, but it's incredibly positive, and kind of rising tide lifts all boat mentality out there. And people have helped us along the way. And but to your point, like when when I identified Instagram like way back in the day, like the year it started, basically is like, this is going to be an incredible platform for the game of golf, which is just a visual game. And here's basically a photo album tool that is going to let people show off the things they love about golf, from travel to courses to equipment to gear. It just was kind of like a right place, right time, and captured the moment. And our philosophy was always, we wanted to be the last best thing on the golfing social medias that you found, sort of thing. So we've really eschewed any sort of like cheap trick marketing things, or we want people to find us, basically. And I think that's a much more endearing way. It's the long and hard way to do things. And sorry to keep rambling here, but folks ask us all the time, like, how do I start a brand? Or you see a new golf brand pop up on Instagram every day. And like, our fortune, I think, if anything, was that like we had a brand for years before we even had something to sell along with that brand. So we spent years and years and years building this Instagram community, like from a real organic level. And then, lo and behold, like finally Ian gets to design a hat, and there's sort of this like tailor-made waiting, in place community who is itching to be a part of it on a physical level. So it's been really fun, man. And I mean, I told someone the other day, like, I almost feel like we haven't even started, honestly. Like there's so much left. Honestly, like I was on another podcast and they were asking about like my favorite products, and I was, like always more pumped about the next thing, the thing that doesn't exist yet. And as we get more capabilities, the more opportunities and things we can pull off. And I mean, like honestly, like seriously mean that, like feel like we haven't even started yet. And that's what keeps me going every day and gets me pumped up. So I think I'll leave it there. That was incredibly ambiguous, but Bro, we can get into some details.
I'm smiling over here and I'm laughing internally because, like, as an entrepreneur, I get it, man. Like, building technology it's obviously different than apparel or merchandise garments, but like I'm already on like version 3.5 and we've only launched 1.4. So it's like I'm already in different iterations, like feature sets and what people are going to do in the marketplace. And I'm like, hey, gotta focus. We're still here right now. So I get that. And oh my God, I get going back and just kind of touching on what you said. I totally get manifestation. I've gotten really into Dr. Joe Dispenza on just like manifesting and the energies, and like, to get too off topic, but I mean, yes, just to let them say, yes, we vibe on that level. And then anyone listening to, this has come up on a couple of different episodes, just because I get asked a lot, like, how'd you start Mully and why'd you do this? And how'd you start the accounts? Like, honestly, it's just, you wake up and you just start. Like I started on Instagram account, like you, way before we even had technology ready. Actually, I started it 2 years before we launched our first bit of technology just to build that community. So yeah, you just got to do it. So I totally vibe with you on that. I've got so many questions, brother. I'm not sure where we can start or where you want to start. This conversation might be like a tangent of trees, just like all different topics.
Love it.
But bro, I know there are so many episodes you've done in the past with Sugarloaf and what that is and what that's going on. I don't want to waste too much time there, guys. If you are curious to know, you can obviously DM Ian, DM Sugarloaf. I don't want to clog your DMs too much, but I'm sure they're happy to talk about it. What I want to do, man, is I want to dive into the ethos of golf and the company, like within it, the inspiration that golf has given you in your life. I did my research. I've listened to some of your podcasts before, brother. I didn't know, this is me being honest, as a fan and a brand ambassador, buyer, customer. I didn't know that it started you with your buddies from college just as like a social, like texting group to stay in contact. So as someone who's done the same exact thing, and I'm sure, as you said, there's probably other people doing the same thing, right? You have your buddies, your core group. For me, it was high school and then college. And then we moved away. We all went away and we started something called the TGT, which was, our way of staying in contact, an annual golf trip. Sugarloaf was the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, as you know, like golf is, when you find those close pals who you just love golfing with, I mean, it's like your world just sort of like that's it. That's all you want to do. That's all you want to, you just want to talk about golf. And like, I don't know, like, when are we going to play this cool place? And, luckily we were on the golf team together too. So we were like traveling a lot and living together.
Where was this? Paint the picture. Where were you? Give everyone some context.
Yeah. So, this was around 2008 to 2011 in Orlando, Florida at Rollins College, small liberal arts school. And I had transferred in there, the beginning of my sophomore year from the University of Dayton, and it was a strange feeling to be like, this new kid on a block with, some other transfers, and there's some recruited kids, and and I was super competitive and like pretty decent junior golfer, and worked my way up in the team and was going to all the tournaments and playing number 1, number 2, number 3 slots, and that first year at Rollins was just, it was awesome. It was like Q school every day sort of thing. And so, we became thick as thieves on that team, and ended up living together my junior year. And it just became like, classic college buddies hanging out, having parties, golfing, in the afternoon, maybe doing
Yeah.
some homework and kind of doing it all over again, sort of thing. And so we just became super tight, and specifically this guy named Peter Corbakis and another guy named Jake Lambert. And so I was a year older than these guys, and in my senior year, second semester, I'd come back from abroad in Scotland, and I'm living with Jake, and like I'm just getting really, really sentimental with these cats because like it's over, like college is over. I'm leaving, and once like we'll never have this again, sort of thing. And I'd always been, a fan of just throwing a name on something and we'll figure it out. Like I was inventing like weird sports, in middle school and starting, CD labels, like burning stuff off LimeWire and selling to kids at school and like just entrepreneurial from a young age. And like I was like, all right, guys, we're at this course called Sugarloaf Mountain. Like, let's call ourselves Sugarloaf Social Club. And was really into some bands at that time that had some similar names like Tokyo Police Club and Bombay Bicycle Club. And I was like, that just sounds cool. We'll just like make a club. We'll just make a little treehouse for ourselves, and that'll make sure we stay in touch after college. And so it worked. It totally worked. I mean, just like you and your pals, like we go our separate ways, but we have this kind of rock that keeps us coming back to each other and reliving those, old times where we're just shooting the shit about golf. And it was just a private Facebook message group and a text message chain. And like, for a few years, it was it was just like constant, like people dropping links and hot takes. And like, it was just kind of a classic bro private group chat. And from there, it's made a logo and made some hats for ourselves. And the story after
initially,
that.
this was just for you guys. Sorry to interrupt you. This was just like Sugarloaf Social Club was just a way to keep you guys together.
Yep.
Keep the core group together. And I know you said like they kind of invited their friends, right? So it had a little trickle out effect, so people invited their close buddy. It was all
Exactly.
tight knit. You're texting, and then you did like an annual golf trip. Is that right?
Yep. When we still do, we call it the dust off. We go to Pinehurst area every year, and
That's amazing.
Like 16. It's in February, so like everyone's coming off of not touching the club for like 2-3 months, and it's the rates are still cheap, and 16 of this kind of like core evolving bubble group of guys go, and like I can't make it every year, and some other guys can't make it every year, but there's always like a bit of a through line, and like that was it. Yeah, we added, I moved to DC and met my future business partner Harrison and a few other friends, and sort of that became my golfing local group, and pulled them into this, social club. And I think we realized, and I realized really quickly, like the experience we're having of like staying in touch and surrounding ourselves around this, fire pit of golfing fun. Like everyone can relate to that out there who's into golf, and like as our peers around the country. And so that was sort of like a pillar of our ethos was let's kind of share some of this fun stuff and exploration, and some high low, and ultimately merch that we're into.
Yeah. So it's no shocker to everyone listening that Sugarloaf is successful. I mean, it's kind of, you'd be hard pressed to go to any course and not see someone rocking Sugarloaf gear of some sort, honestly. So now that we know that, I want to work way back, dude. I want to, as he takes a sip from the Sugarloaf can, Sugarloaf thermos, from the Sugarloaf hat with the Sugarloaf. I was going to wear my Sugarloaf gear, but I was like, I can't wear. It's like going to a concert wearing the band's merch. You just can't do that,
Dude, do it.
So going back, I want to go even further back, brother. Like, I love that's how it started. But what about your personal journey? Like, how did you find golf in the beginning? I think we all, that's part of the romance of it. Like golf. And the thread in this podcast is that golf is this muse, right? We all date her. You date her, I date her, him or her, doesn't matter. We all have this relationship with golf, and it has a different gift to each one of us. Like we all are with golf for a different reason. How did you first, come in contact with, and I use muse as a her, this goddess, the golf goddess that is her. How did you first meet her?
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I grew up in a golfing family in Flossmoor, Illinois, which is a small village like 30 minutes south of Chicago. Kind of a classic suburb, some homes with, old trees and sidewalks and golf courses on every corner. And we just so happened to live on Flossmoor Country Club, right behind the second tee box there. And my uncle lived over on the seventh hole, and my grandparents lived on the fifth hole. So there's just like the Gillies were surrounding this golf course, and
Literally.
my yeah, and like that's just it's kind of, and in that Flossmoor area, and anyone who's like from those sort of Chicago or Philly communities where there are just golf courses everywhere, it's just like it is part of the culture, and just kind of what you do, and you're at the pool and the golf course in the summer kind of thing. And yeah, my cousins were really, really high caliber competitive players. A couple of them went to Northwestern. A couple of them were state champs. Like
Oh, wow.
some other cousins played college golf elsewhere, and
It
my
was almost in your
uncle,
blood. Like it was in your DNA.
yeah,
Like growing up, like it was
yeah,
all around you. You couldn't get out of it.
couldn't get out of it. And like, frankly, like, and I don't know, I'd be keen to talk to some other folks about like who were kind of brought up in golf, or I kind of wasn't like, I'm talking like 8, 9 years old, like wasn't super excited about it, right? Because like it was kind of pitched to me as like this like serious thing and competitive, and you had to practice, and then you go like play this very formal round sort of thing, and it's for grown-ups. Um and I kind of as like a 7, 8, 9 year old, like kind of found it silly or frustrating, or I was bored with it quickly sort of thing.
Hmm.
Luckily like stuck with it and like had a athletic knack, and soon enough, 11, 12 years old, like my dad would take me to some tournaments and did okay. And um ultimately what it came to was like I had to choose when we going into high school, like soccer and golf were in the same season. And I'm sure a lot of kids go through this, like whatever, name your sports, and kind of had to choose one. And I'd gotten the bug in middle school, had some really solid success in junior tournaments around the country, and like this is like Tiger, Davis Love, like this is the 2000, 2001, 2002, like just the US Open was coming to Olympia Fields in our town in 2003, and like that was exciting. And so the Western Open was, my friends and I, that was like a place we could go. Our parents would like just drop us off at the Western Open, and like could just like be up next to these guys. And so being in a golf family and a golf community that had kind of golfy stuff always happening, like is in my blood and unavoidable. And I did ultimately obviously like fall in love with it. But I think taking I have a 2-year-old son now, and like kind of taking that, obviously like not forcing him to do anything, but I do believe golf is a great thing to introduce to your children, and it's a great lifelong skill to have. And sort of taking a bit of a different approach, where there was just like some plastic clubs like in the corner, and dad's watching golf YouTube in the morning, and like if that's another, the advent of YouTube is just like insane too for kids now, because they can just pull up
Yeah.
anything. Like I had to wait for golf week on Tuesdays to learn about the PGA Tour event,
Yeah.
and so it's I think like through osmosis and making it fun, and like having little just kind of letting kid be free and not worry about structure or holding the club the right way or anything. I think that's like a really positive way to get a kid involved in the game. And ironically enough, we live on a golf course now too, so we can sort of just like go out and
Ironically enough, yeah, right.
that wasn't my
Air quotes,
intention.
ironically enough.
So
Uh,
serendipitous. Yeah. So that was, I don't know. I don't know if that helped answer your question, but
no, it does, man. Yeah.
basically, yeah.
So basically, so I'm going to recap that answer because it's a beautiful answer. You got bit by it through family osmosis, just kind of being around it. With the option to play other sports, you actually chose it. You chose golf. And I think I did the same thing. If it wasn't soccer for me, it was actually baseball when they overlapped. So I chose golf. I got interested because my parents got divorced. I got to spend time with my dad, but then like it was so hard. It was just so challenging to get good at it. I was like, I suck at this. I'm pretty good at baseball. I'm okay at soccer. I suck at golf. It's like I got to get in. Like that's when it bit me as a challenge. And then as it opened up, and I'm curious to know how it relates to you in your life, because I find there's a lot of similarities in these stories too. It's like after you get bit by it, after the goddess finds you and you fall in love with her, it's like, shit, like the gifts that it gives you. It gave me a relationship with my dad. It actually taught me community. It taught me how to like be social, which is a big part of my personality. So, I mean, from the next evolution of that question is, I mean, obviously it's given you Sugarloaf. It's given you a community of friends and business partners and business. But even before that, to bridge that gap between as a golfer into Sugarloaf, those formative years, what did it give you then?
Yeah, I think, it was really like, if I look back and I'm like, well, what are some of like the fondest memories, right? I would say when I was, I think it was like seventh grade, and this is like truly probably what got it for me was, just to kind of answer your question, like golf can, as like a teenager, like if you're decent enough, you can start hanging out with, my brother was 20 years older than me and a good player. So like he and I could now be in the same arena together doing something that we both loved. And I could go on trips with my dad and my uncle, who were serious, a little more serious about it, and I could hang with them. And so, like seventh grade, eighth grade, my uncle was like, we should go to the Masters. And like I had no concept of even like where like Georgia was. Like I don't know, this is like a crazy opportunity basically, and I was just like, sure, let's do it. And he was like, well, yeah, and on the front end we're going to stay in Hilton Head for a few days, and on the back end of the Masters we're going to go to Sea Island. And it was my brother, my dad, and my uncle. And so that just, sorry, my cats are over here fighting. That was like, we went to Hilton Head, and it was just like, it was cool. It was like just kind of like golf in like a different setting. And then we went to the Masters, and we're standing behind like Seve Ballesteros hitting shots, and Phil Mickelson's over there. And like, I'm like 11, 12 years old. And, my brother's like such a nerd. He's like, I've never seen, they don't show the front nine on TV, because they didn't back in the day. He's like, I've never seen the front nine. I'm going to go walk the front. And I was like, what? That's a curious, like wish and desire. And, just that moment was just so, surreal and seminal to my, golfing love. Cause like a light switch during that moment where I'm seeing this, the best in the world in this,
play the best golf course in the world.
Yeah. With like the best people in my life. And like, and so that, then after a day at the Masters, we go to Sea Island for a few days, and I end up beating my brother on the plantation course there. And like, his mind was like, I think I had just like absorbed, like, when you watch guys hit balls, like, who are really good, you're like, you kind of like somehow subconsciously incorporate that. And I beat my brother. Like, he probably never saw that coming. And like, my uncle and dad are like so proud, because I'm just this little kid who just, smoked like a scratch golfer basically. And, that was the first time in my life my brother like immediately went to the range, got a lesson, and introduced me to the instructor as his half brother, like, because we have different moms. And so it was just funny. Like, he was just like, I don't know. It was just like this kind of like coming of age moment sort of thing for me. And I sort of took that back and carried that through eighth grade, and then made varsity high school and freshman year. And I don't quite know where I was going with that, but that was like, if I can look back in like a singular like moment of where the spark happened, that's what I would say.
Oh man, wow. I have so much that I want to nitpick there, and I didn't want to interrupt you because I love that. Oh. That was nice. But there was a moment that I wanted to go on like a tangent, but I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, dude, like golf. So in a weird way, I mean, it definitely strengthens relationships of all kinds. It seemed like it did that with you and your brother, clearly. Yeah. But if you now I'm going to bridge this gap too. If you notice, for those who know and listening, like, Sugarloaf has a lot of, I don't even want to call it like subliminal, because it's not subliminal, but like paying homage, paying respect, honoring the Masters, whether it be through the pimento sandwich logos, or whatever it may be. Like, there's just a lot of respect there. And I think any golfer who's experienced the Masters knows the Masters, watched the Masters. I'm wearing a Masters shirt. It's just not a golf tournament. It's not. I've been fortunate enough to go a few times. And it's just like this sacred event for golfers. And especially when you're there, it's like, oh my God, like there's so yeah, I'm curious to know when you were there and you attended the event, how did that come out in your creative expression through Sugarloaf?
Yeah, I think it was probably the first time like in this formidable, those formidable years when I like experienced something that had such stable like tradition and iconography and timelessness where it can, and all the images and all the history that we have with that tournament, like it's one of the greatest brands like in the world, like full
Fact.
stop. I mean, it's
Fact.
and the way that they have carried themselves and been so consistent, and I really think it's like I love things that like are classics, like just stuff with a little pop of fun. And I think like you get that at the Masters where it's not overly commercialized, overly corporate, and like that they have a par three course and been playing a par three competition for 70, 80, whatever, 90 years, and like that's totally quirky. And so like yes, the Masters is like stoic and classic, but also quirky and fun, and ironically when you're there, like welcoming, like it's
Yeah.
totally embracing. And so and I think in recent years I've been like, it's the no cell phone policy is like one of the
It's the
most
best.
genius things in like any continued event. And it might be the only, like the one thought I have over and over whenever I'm there is like, this might be the one place in the world where folks like still like can talk to each other and like have like interactions without like a distraction. And so, I don't know. I to answer your question, like I just think it is Shangri-La. It's totally lovely. It's kid friendly. Like obviously it's hard to get a ticket to go, and
Yeah.
and pains me that not millions of people can attend it and just due on space limitations. But it is it's, to me, it's an ultimate sort of like brand to look up to, where
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Is that your biggest drop of the year when you guys come out with the Masters inspired or first major of the year Augusta merch?
We haven't done
this-
the Pimento logo in a long time, honestly, because like that was a good idea, and
now it's knocked off everywhere. Like you see
well,
it
yeah,
everywhere.
and it's just like, so like that happens. I'm not mad about that at all. It's just like trends. Maybe that's not even a trend, but like the idea was like, I was like really into like I love like derivative logos. Like subliminal is like another probably word for that. It's like tell me your Masters without telling me your Masters, or like tell me you like golf, but like without telling me you're like a golf nerd, basically.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of stuff like creeps into like all Sugarloaf design stuff, where it is a cliche to be like, oh, you can wear it anywhere, but like I like design stuff that I want to wear, and like I am not always golfing, or I don't want to like scream that I'm like, a walking golfing advertisement sort of thing, but I want others who like might know, who I'm not friends with, to like run into me and be like, boom, like let's, did we just become best friends? Kind of like Step Brothers vibes. So that's, but yeah, going back to like the biggest drops, I mean, I would say like the golf, it's a big month for us leading up to that. And we definitely sort of like target like fun springy things, and but it's really like just a nature of the calendar where like it's the golf season opening back up. People are just itching to like think about golf or buy a golf thing, or like have something to look forward to. So I think that sort of like informs what things I'm looking for as a consumer, and that trickles into like Sugarloaf stuff. And I think just the whole golfing country and world, frankly, is like, ready for that like symbolic springtime.
Yeah.
The season's about to start again. And just so happens like that's like what the Masters, where it's placed on the calendar. Totally. So, yeah.
It's funny. Everyone asks me like, why do you like the Masters so much? And it's such a long-winded answer, but you touched on a little bit there. It's like, it's almost like when winter months come around, it's like no one's playing. It's kind of like this dead period. And then like you get a little glimmer of hope when like, they come to California, the pros go to California and there's a West Coast swing. And then you get like, oh, wow, you're watching them play Waste Management. And then the hype starts to build. And then all of a sudden spring comes, and all of a sudden you see the Masters commercial come March. It's like, whoa, we're here. And then it's like, it's just a beautiful time. Spring is, I think, my favorite season.
I just not to keep going on that topic, but like to me, and like since I've lived primarily in Chicago and like DC climates, like it's weirdly like the first week of the year you can like open your windows, you can like have the TV on and like, open your windows. And the beauty of the Masters is the lives, like you can set up like 50 screens at 8 a.m. whenever the first. It's like you can watch the most piece. You can just watch like 3 guys play the front 9 at 9 a.m. and it's just like
birds chirping, and you see like the azaleas out. You're like, oh, spring's here. It's like it's a vibe. It's a total vibe.
Yep, exactly. So that is like seriously powerful stuff to the human brain. So
couldn't agree more. Now, question I have for you, because I want to again get back to like the whole ethos of this, right, and not get too much into Sugarloaf. But this is a bridge question. How do you, man, like I know you got a business partner and there's more people involved in Sugarloaf. So I know you can't take all the credit, but in terms of like the creativity and like when the drops come out and, the brand and even the creative lab side, where do you draw your inspiration from? Cause I know probably growing up, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're playing golf, you're playing at a college level, you're involved, you're injected in the community, just like I was. Right. And creativity is all around us. Now that you've launched it and now that it's out in the open and now people have this expectation almost from you as the creative, do you have to go back and play a lot? Do you go into seclusion in the mountains and not play? Like, where do you draw your inspiration from? And how do you get in contact with that muse?
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is like, it is harder and harder to, I think you're a creative guy, like I think we're filled with like self-doubt and imposter syndrome and why am I even here? Like I could buy the next drop, like what if no one buys it, sort of thing. And like, does that mean I'm like, I've lost a fastball or something? And then like on the like golfing side of it, I mean, it is really, as this has gotten bigger, like it has been hard to like separate going to a golf course and just enjoying it like you're a kid with no cell phone and cameras don't exist in your world, and just like being pure about it. And so I think I'm always chasing that a little bit. And I've in recent years, like on the like
the pure side, like that,
like the content. I think there was such early on, like we were kind of one of the only golf accounts out there, so I could just and I had taken a bunch of photos from courses I'd played like in the past, and you just throw up whatever you want, and then more people get involved and higher caliber people get on the platform, and you're like, well shit, my stuff kind of sucks, or like I don't even know what a full frame camera is. And so there was a bit of a like rat race there, I think, for a few years, like pre-pandemic, where like I was like, I have so much left to learn from a content side of things, and also felt like a pressure to like post a ton or something and like always bring the big camera and the big lens to the golf course. And I would say in recent years, like I've been much more prioritizing like, being present on the golf course. Mm-hmm. And I just have like a tiny little camera in my back pocket. And that has allowed me to, be more present with the people, have a more rejuvenating experience on the golf course. And get back and find some of that like soul and creativity and be inspired, basically. And then to the like merch and creative lab side of things, I mean, I think I just always like loved like brands and stuff. Like I'm a materialistic like minded person. Like I love like like vintage LL Bean vests and like the cool whatever polo like Ralph Lauren thing like Davis Love was wearing in like '99. Like that was just like the Oakley shades that Duval's got on in 2000 or whatever, and like those just was always picking up little visual cues. And I think what it ultimately boils down to, like for the merch at least, and like even why I even say like I feel like we haven't even started yet, because we have not cracked into apparel in a huge way. It's like, I think,
Is that coming?
yeah, we've got polos and more stuff, more bigger projects coming, like a full collab line with original penguins, a lot of fun stuff in the works. But I
Wow.
think if you ask like a group of like creative folks, and it seems like this is like the aesthetic we're in right now, it's like I think we just always revert to like those blissful years when we're like 12, 13, 14 years old, and like those were the most impactful like visual identity cues. And then we're also always trying to dress like our dads like during that time. So like, what was you
Pleated
rocking?
khakis. Yeah. Pleated
Yeah.
khakis, the big poles, the sleeves down. Yeah.
Yeah, and like topsiders and Vans, sort of
Yep.
thing, and
Yep.
like Carrera sunglasses and Mercedes. I said, and just like I don't know. I think that's look at all like the from the ALDs to the world to who you name it. Like nostalgia is like absolutely like the number one like drug I think when it comes to gear. And so
Inspiration.
like it,
Sure. Yeah.
and like that's it's just it is all around us all the time. And like, but yeah, I'm constantly just like looking, even just looking at old family photo, I'll be like, well shit, that faded like purple cotton polo with a popped collar like that my brother is wearing is like the sickest thing I've ever seen. So like how do we get to that point? And so um yeah, I mean, and like on the design, like when we do help clubs with their logos and stuff, I mean, I'm like pretty much like always trying to come up with something that's gonna feel like it was, if it was 50 or 100 years old, like it was appropriate and it'll work for, 100 years in the future. And that's a fine line to thread, but I think, you know, going to archival places and finding little bits and nuggets of something cool to be inspired from really informs like us from like a design direction on marks.
But you constantly draw inspiration from the nostalgia bank, like the nostalgia bank. And I assume we're almost of the same age. I was born in '84, so
Yep.
I played golf in the '90s, right? So was it the Victory, the cord, the Victory,
Yep.
like the old green ones, that I see on your site right now. So there's just a bunch of that. Did you ever think, man, like when you were starting this social club, right, with your buddies, was there ever a hunch like this could be this one day? Or is this just a dream come true and totally unexpected and just like put one foot in front of the other and just, whoa, look where we are?
Yeah, totally unexpected. I mean, like it was really no more than just like let's give ourselves a band name basically,
Yeah.
and like we'll figure out how to play instruments later, even if that's even something we want to do. So um it no, yeah, it's like, and I think people would be lying to you if they were like 10 years, like when I was 20, like I knew exactly what I'd be doing at 33 or whatever. And
Yeah.
so or in the place that they thought they would be, sort of thing.
Right.
And so but I always felt like I was a creative person, like as a like falsely like an econ major and worked in politics for a while. Like those were not they're strong suits, but like not passions per se. And like
Yeah.
just a pretty emotional guy, and like kind of liked more solo projects than like group projects, I guess. And just like that sort of like led me to leave like quote unquote like corporate world or whatever, and like I can just do this, like I'll just do this. And you're right, like you said it, you had an awesome quote early on. It was like sometimes the best advice is just do it. Don't even like think, like just like start the account and just start, and you'll find your rhythm. It's like you'll find your lane. Like like I think the No Lane Up guys have gotten really good at content, like excellent at content, and the Fried Egg guys have gotten incredible at that like nerd golf, kind of core architecture culture. And so we could have gone a bunch of different ways. I mean, we started the Creative Lab doing drone videos for Tobacco Road. We thought we were going to be a golf video company.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I kind of like doing logos and making merch better. And so, yeah, anyway.
I get it. I mean, especially now in today's world. I mean, we've seen, because we started our account like I think 2016, 17, 16 before pandemic, and it was fun. It was a different world back then. That 6 years ago, where you could get away with some creative, witty memes with nostalgic posts and like lifestyle, nice photography of golf courses. Now, if you do that, you're not growing. Now it's like the actual content side of it, and the creators, like Good Goods and like the No Laying Up guys. If you're not making content on the golf course, it's like, what are you really even doing? So I feel your not hesitation. I just feel that vibration that's happening right now. It's like we're struggling to make good content for Mully, and focusing on our technology. So I get it.
And it's frustrating because it's the platform is, I'm thinking like, what's post Instagram, right? Like that's gonna die or go away at some point. Is probably already kind of is, or it evolves into something different where it's prioritizing short video stuff.
That's happening right now. That's literally happening right now.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, those are fun too, but then does that mean I need to, every time I golf now, take like my video camera and make some like little cinema and like, well, now I'm not golfing anymore, or I'm not with a person who I want to be with, for 4 hours and like learning about their life and taking, their side of their golf journey to bring into, my friendship bank or whatever. And so it's frustrating. And like, I think like where I've gone is like, I just don't even, if we don't post for 2 months, like, I don't even care, or like it's, and that's a tough, like that. And has our growth slowed? Like probably, but I think we were in a fortunate enough position before this like transition where, I'm not trying to beat myself up too much about like changing who we are to fit like algorithms, like, wants and needs sort of thing. And so it's tough, man. I think creative burnout's a real thing. Like prioritizing where you put your like creative energy is a real thing. Like if you're an introvert like me, I mean, I'll probably take like a nap after this, So it's like, it's tough, man. And the demand to keep producing cool stuff is like,
it's hard. That's
just not like an automatic thing. And so I feel you, man.
Creative burnout, you just said, is a real thing. Something, I mean, Mully, we're small company right now. We've been in business for a year now, but like we've been around for a couple. So we're not the size of eBay or Poshmark or Grail, these other marketplaces, right? So I'm wearing multiple hats. My business partner's wearing multiple hats. And then we got to switch to marketing mode, the branding mode, to, customer service. I'm doing everything. It's like, I just want to breathe for a sec. So you've got to be feeling the same thing on your end. You have to be.
It's hard to turn it off too. It's like, you're just like sitting on the couch and scrolling, you get a ton of DMs, I'm sure. And like, it's, and you care, this is like, you love it. So you like care more. And then it's just this constant snowball. And so I'm trying to be better about like disseminate, like, luckily I have a great guy who works for us, who's been with us for a year, who's now handling DMs and customer service stuff, and give him some more projects that.
Does he want a side job?
He's a great, like, he's an amazing hire for us. And so like, learning to like, people aren't born good managers, and like, I'm nowhere near, even like elementarily solid in being a good manager. And like, that's a thing that's a new thing I have to learn. It's like, and that's a whole nother thing on the table. And so, but to grow, like, you need to like trust people to help love this thing as much as you do. And that's tough, man.
Yeah. I'm curious. You touched on this earlier in the chat, like the manifestation of it, right? We're going to get a little woo woo for a sec, guys. Hope you can bear with this, but like, how do you manifest, what's coming for you? How do you do it? I don't know if you want to share that. Is it like a vision board, or like images, or like just a meditation you have? And what is that vision, if you can share it for the Creative Lab, for you, and maybe even, the brand?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think, I don't know. It's a tough thing to like answer in a very concise way, because there are, I still get a lot of, inspiration and sort of ideas from like those people like around me. I mean, I've got a neighbor down the street. We've become really good friends, and we're just like texting each other like cool clothing, vintage things from all over the place. And
Hmm.
we're like, how can we sort of like funnel that into like where we're headed? And I'm 33, 34, and like have a 2-year-old kid, and so I think the brand matures and evolves, with it as well. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
for sure.
like I don't, not wearing flamingo printed shirts and getting super trashed every night sort of thing. And so, what am I, looking for moving forward, like on a merch side of things? It's just like classics, man, like make khaki hats, like I just want white shoes, sort of thing. And I don't think I'm answering your question whatsoever, because I just don't even know
No,
how to, honestly. But
yeah,
I mean,
it's a tough one.
I would say like a little, like, the snowball thing is real. Like, if you are genuine and authentic and, you know, do things because you think they're cool, like other people think
Hmm.
they're, that's been a great recipe for us. Like,
Totally.
I use this anecdote all the time, but like, I don't always need a new white hat, but maybe I do once a year. And that's when
Yeah.
we buy white hats and design white hats and sell white hats. It's like when I want a white hat, I
Yeah.
wanted a gray, I wanted a gray hoodie with just the arrow, like, and then we made that basically. So, um, and,
Yeah.
and to kind of continue that sort of snowball effect, it's like, well, then other interesting opportunities come at our door, whether it's from other brands who are like, wow, I really like what you're doing on Sugarloaf. Like, can you help spread some of that pixie dust on what we're doing? And
Yeah.
that's like how the Creative Lab clients kind of come into our, through our door. And then
Right.
like, well, of course, like every golf guy wishes he had his own golf course, but like, what does like a Sugarloaf version of that look like? And, we luckily, one of my good friends and partner of the field club, like, knows how to buy and operate golf courses, and he loves working on new clubs. And so that's how like the field club came around. And we might be getting into doing our own bourbon, with
Wow.
because there's a guy who super bourbon expert, like, loves golf. And I mean, that's the other thing about golf. It's like, it there are guys, from finance to liquor to property management, like, if they don't even like touch golf in a professional sense and they still love golf, they want to like have their hands on projects or be a part of, cool golf stuff. So like,
Yeah.
that's there's been some interesting things come through our door in that sense. So um
And you
and
guys
it's
have built like a
yeah.
cult community, right? Like it's like your customers are like ambassadors. They're loyal. They're constantly buying all the time, right? I mean, like it's like a family. If you know Sugarloaf, you're in Sugarloaf, you're like a part of this community.
Yeah, definitely. I think if what it boils down to, it's like
Is that like an
we
accident though? Like, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Like how, like that's such, it's like you look at some of the brands that have done that in other verticals, in other industries. It's one of the most challenging things to do. Like it like truly
yeah,
is.
yeah, like, just, I guess, I don't know if it's like loyalty or whatever word you want to call it, but it is amazing. We have some, like, our customers, I hate to even call them that word, but like,
Yeah.
it's folks who've bought Sugarloaf stuff. Like, I mean, I think it stems to like, on like my side of things, it's like, again, like, if the recipe's been like, if I want something and like it, like other people seem to as well. So like, that's like been a good barometer. Two,
Mhm.
it's like, if you're like, there's like a
By the way, that's how we
personal,
built Mully. So it's not again like I
yeah,
literally was like, I'm tired of using eBay. I can't keep selling things and having them take my money. It's like I understand that seller fees were meant for like my garage sale items that they need to make 10 cents on, but they're not meant for golf items. So I just built it. I was like, I'm going to build this. So it's
yeah.
almost not one to one, but almost the same way. I get it.
And honestly, it's brilliant. It's what you guys have done is like super brilliant, because
Thank you.
like and I'm sure you recognize this, like there was this like golden era, not even golden era, it was just like pre, let's say 2016, when like you could pick up crazy deals on, because like eBay was like Wild West for golf stuff, and like still kind of is, but like it's hard to find, like, you're not gonna get like a set of like mint Japanese McGregors for like $100 on there anymore, but once upon a time, you could find like a handmade, like from TP Mills, David's dad garage putter that
Yep.
someone didn't know what they were selling, or
Yep.
something from Japan that was like crazy undervalued because there was no comps for it. So like, it's a smart idea to like find a niche group of people and create a marketplace that more
Yeah.
accurately reflects like a market, and not just like a get lucky antique store sort of thing.
I appreciate that, dude. Like you said earlier, like the rising tide lifts all boats, right? So, I believe in abundance, and I believe anyone listening hopefully believes in the same thing. Like abundance is abundant. Like, just because one person's winning or one brand's succeeding or one marketplace is working, it doesn't mean yours won't, So, the more Sugarloaf succeeds, the more that our friends succeed in the golf space, the more we all kind of succeed. We're trying to build to elevate. That's why, again, I think this whole live PGA, divide is just, it's people think I think it's bad for the game, but that's neither here nor there. We can stay off that topic.
I mean, but you were kind of getting to something that like, it's, I've kind of like closed my ears a little bit, just kind of stay like, put blinders on, and then like in my own little lane and don't worry about what other people are doing. But like, I hear people's like gripes and chirps about like other creators or other brands, or, someone will send me a new cool brand that just showed up. And I'm like, yeah, man, those come every day. And like, my posture used to be like really combative, or like really like, like if there's, another mouth to feed at the table, then like I'm, like Sugarloaf's gonna starve sort of thing. But like, honestly, like the positive way to look at it and how it really works, it's like, no matter what you think of like Eric Anders Lang or Good or whatever, you want those guys to be as successful as possible, or at least I do, because these are gateway drugs and they're funnels to get people rehooked,
Totally.
introduced, or more excited about this sort of like hipster kind of niche market that you and I are sort of playing in. And like, those guys are doing a lot of hard legwork to like create
Tons.
even bigger groups of folks who someday might find Sugarloaf. And that's maybe where they, now they've worked their way through bigger brands, and now they found a place that they feel like they can call home, and now that's got them even more excited and happy and brings them joy. So I think it's a great thing, fans, that like more brands, more people, more creators, because like, I think about this every day. Like we have like, tens of thousands of followers and, sell thousands of things a year, but like, that's not even like scratching the surface. Like there are people out there who have no idea who Sugarloaf is right now, who I know would absolutely love it. And so, I think taking the positive high road to the potential competition is the way to go.
Brother, you have quite literally paved the way for a lot of my friends and people, including myself, to even have the courage to start an account. So I just want to thank you. We're not wrapping up. I got a few more questions here, so just bear with me. I know we're coming up on the hour, but I just want to thank you, dude, because Ian, like, and you're so modest and humble. I'm going to say that to everybody. You've never been on the forefront of this out there. Look at me, and then there's Sugarloaf, or look at Sugarloaf, then me. I honestly had really no idea Ian existed, and you're so far removed from it because you're focused on the brand, focused on the community, and I think that's pretty badass of you, dude. Like that's, Whereas, not to mention any names, there are other people that having brands that have that are almost like a mirror of it. They need to be there, and if like they go away, it's like the brand's almost none of us there. So that you see that a lot.
This is not the Ian Gilley show. I've like turned down countless interviews, and I'm only just now trying to be more open to like podcasts, and because like, these are like my friends and like potential great friends who are doing cool things, and like, I don't want to miss that boat, and I want to, help them, or like have them help. Like there's a community here that, I personally need to be more open to, like in terms of being like a face or a person that's like associated with Sugarloaf. But like my posture, my personality is really just like behind the scenes guy. Like it brings me joy. Like, I pass Sugarloaf things in the wild all the time, but like, and I'm with my wife and she's like, oh, go talk to, and I just like, sometimes I just like to just observe them, and wow, it's like, it's not about me, it's not about Ian. And I get that people are curious about like people behind brands, and like, I think of everything as a really like long-term project. So this, if me coming out on podcasts in 2022, after 2023, after our brand's been around for many years, it's like, well, that's just like, we're still in like phase zero kind of. So, and it's just, I just like being behind the scenes and creating things that I feel self-fulfilled about and don't need others to like validate to me, like with my personality or a cult of personality associated with the success of Sugarloaf sort of thing, if that makes sense.
I totally get it, dude. It's got to be such a cool feeling, lack of a better word, cool, right? Is when you're at a golf course or at an airport or anywhere for that matter, and you see your logo that you designed, that you put blood, sweat, and tears in, that you have so much history with. You just see it out there. It's like, that's got to be a cool moment. I've only seen the Mully Bulldog. We have a little bulldog hat. Oh, yeah. I've seen it out and about one time, and I'm like,
it's amazing.
It exists, and I've not yet seen anyone actually use it. Usually, like the marketplace in front of me, that'll be another cool moment where I'm like, oh my god, that. But I from one creator to the next, man, you've done such an amazing job with your brand and the community, because the community is the harder part. Anyone can sell anything or try to, right? Yeah. Merch is a hard game. It's a hard freaking game. But like building the community is even harder. So I got to commend you on that.
Thank you.
I have a question here for you with that in mind. Obviously, I've asked you, we've talked through email back and forth a few times, and I know that you have a lot of people you want to thank that I want to get to. But more importantly, before we get there, not more importantly, but in addition to, you told me there was a time in your life where you almost actually quit golf. You almost stopped playing. I think you said you were junior year in college. You were on the or your junior year of college, and you were like, take us through that. But you're like, what made you kind of get burnt out? Because the follow-up question, I guess part two, is how did you reconnect to it? Because I think a lot of people, including myself, I've been there. I never was at your level, but I played so much competitive golf in my youth that I kind of just, as everyone started to take it up, in the pandemic, I'm like, yeah, I've already been here. But I had to go, for me and myself, I went to a coach, Fred Shoemaker, to kind of learn the different mindset of golf. Like you can actually learn, you can play for fun, or you can play like creative, like just go, don't even keep score. I was like, oh my God, don't keep score. So I'm curious to know, because I'm sure a lot of people out there share that sentiment. Can you take us through that junior year of like, why did you get frustrated? Why did you almost give up? And then how did you reconnect to it?
Yeah. And like I said, I think a lot of people go through these ups and downs, and it certainly wasn't like the first time I was like frustrated with my game, but I think I was, played competitive golf exclusively nonstop from like, 8th grade to junior year in college, and like high level, won tournaments, lost tournaments, like recruited cool places, like it's the whole shebang, AJGAs, like national events, like Western amateurs. And so, that is if that becomes, your narrow kind of view of golf, it's pressure cooker stuff, man. And like, it's a very, very few who like succeed and can sort of like handle and enjoy the like day in and day out. And I was putting so much pressure on myself because I knew how good I could be, or this is the past success I had. And like when I wasn't, going through times when you're not realizing things to the same level, like you start, I would bring it home, and like, I would be chippy to my girlfriend or mad at my dad, or, try to find a new golf coach, or surely in this new club will fix my world. And it would affect, my personality and the people around me. And that was just like, not to like a super unhealthy level or anything, but just like this thing that's supposed to be fun and an outlet was starting to be a real bummer on just my like personal like interaction with people around me and the world around me. And so, I ended my junior year, just basically quit college golf, and was like, I'm just fed up. Like, my dad was kind of, sad, and like, it's, I didn't think I was going to go back my senior year and play any sort of competitive golf. And so, yeah, I'm not playing tournaments anymore, and made that decision. So I got to get like a summer job. And so I ended up being a counselor at Culver Woodcraft Camp in Indiana, where I'd gone as a kid. And they were kind of looking around, and they're like, the counselors during the day like teach various classes. And so they needed an advanced golf coach. And I was like the only one in the room that probably had any golf experience. And so and the cabins are on this like really cool golf course, like probably my favorite in the world. So, here I am like around all these kids from around the world, and in advanced golf, which was not the basic golf class, there was only like 2 or 3 kids, and they were like decent players, and we had our group could play these 3 holes over and over and over again, and that's all we did all summer. I played in flip flops,
the same holes, the same 3 holes, over and over.
Same 3 holes, just over and over and over. And the same. I just brought one club every day because I didn't want to carry a huge bag when I'm having to pick up 10-year-olds who fell in the bunker and stuff. So I sort of just went back to like caveman golf, like barefoot and a stick and I would just put 2 balls in my pocket. Like it was like, and not to get like too flowery about it, but it was like this weight was off my shoulders. Like I was having fun with kids who were just like loving the game and like were totally free and unencumbered with like the pressures of the world because they're like 10-year-olds at a nice summer camp. And I wasn't hitting balls, wasn't hitting drivers for 6 weeks straight, just a 6-iron over and over, and I had to be really creative. Like it was just like kind of like a little challenge I put on myself, and have to hit like little thin shots off the tee, and then like chunky bump and run hook shots to like get a few extra yards to like max out into the green, and chipping and putting. And so that was sort of like fell in love with like the creative aspect of it, and the unencumbered youth aspect of it, and the like the simplicity. Like you don't need much more than like a hole in the ground, barely, if that, like to like enjoy like what golf can be, sort of thing. And so I ended up actually getting like very, very good again at golf because I had just like worn the face off of a 6-iron for the whole summer. And that fall I had plans to go study abroad in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh. And at the last second I brought my clubs, and on their like sign up day or whatever for like the clubs and teams and stuff, I like went to the golf booth and ended up qualifying and played in all the events that season, number 2 on the University of Edinburgh golf team. And so I'm back kind of in competitive golf, but it's a different type of competitive golf, right? Because it's like yardage almost doesn't matter in Scotland. Things are firm and fast. You have to like just be visually creative and like come up with a whole different game things. Yeah. So that was like scratching a new itch for me that didn't exist. Like, and then the matches are match play, so like score didn't matter anymore. And there was like a community element of it where like the 2 teams, and sometimes we would play like men's groups from clubs, which was like a whole other bag of fun. After this bout on the links, like we would come have like a proper meal and get like properly wasted, and like with our tweed coats and ties on, and and so it was like this really like communal, like it was competitive, but it was like for the right reasons, and like not just some arbitrary like another town, another college tournament, turn in your scorecard, add up the team score. Like it was like this head to head, like, and so anyway, it's a long way of saying like those 2 things back to back really got me, fell back in love with the game. And then that sort of carried on through leaving college, and here I am in the real world. I'm broke as hell and can only afford, public munis, and don't have a car, and got to ride my bike. And like, that's another like level of like, well, shit, like these dusty munis are pretty cool, and you don't need to spend a lot of money. You don't need to get a fancy place, and people love and learn the game at these, sort of affordable, municipal courses. So, that's a long way of saying those 3 things back to back, like just were super kind of, formidable for like how I love golf and view it now and enjoy it. So, I
love that answer, dude. No, I love that. I think I'm gonna echo some of that by you said something earlier too about watching golf when you went to the Masters. For me, when I was a kid growing up in Los Angeles, I would go to, what was it called, in the Nissan, and then it was called, before it's a Genesis now, Tiger's tournament, but it was the Nissan, and then it was something else. It was Northern Trust
or something.
Yeah. And then I would go there as a kid with my dad and some friends from the golf course, and I mean, we didn't really, even though it was sunny California, we didn't really play that much in the wintertime. It was holidays and it was this and that. But like watching them play and having not touched a club for a while, like reinvigorated something inside of me that I'd want to go play, and I played better. And then my buddies and I would always, we play, it was called the front loop at our golf course, 1, 2, 3. And we play the same 1, 2, 3 holes all the time, but we play it differently. We challenge each other, like only take odds, only take evens. This was like, God, this was probably 2002 before half sets were even a thing, but we'd go out there with 3 clubs, right? Just go out and play. And that the creativity behind that, when you really take score out of it, that's why I love match play too. Like you said, when you almost get rid of score, there's a score, you have to beat their score, but like, you're not tallying them up. You're not stressed out and the anxiety of like, oh my God, I just doubled the hole. Like it's a freedom that you have that I think is just such a valuable part to golf. So I think that's a great answer. Coming into our home stretch of questions here. So I've got a few here. I think I've got 2 left. And then I'll let you kind of say your thanks. I know there's a lot of people that have helped you get here. One, and this is a cool question because I tie it back into the marketplace a little bit. Seeing Mully and how it's grown, there's so many. You hit on this earlier too. Nostalgic clubs, right? I'm seeing a rise of vintage clubs in the marketplace now, and it got me thinking. Like, man, I just saw a Titleist 975D driver, in the marketplace. It lasted all of 10 seconds because people jump on it. But I was like, damn, that was like the first club that I was able to get as a kid. Like, I was gifted, and I remembered it was like mine. It wasn't a hand-me-down. It was my club. What was your first ever club that was yours that you remember that was like, wow, like your personal grail?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it was getting cool hand-me-downs. Like, I always thought like the orange dot, like Ping Eye 2, like my, cousins gave me those. And, like the orange dot's good for you because they're like flatter and they're for kids or whatever. And then it was like that was sick. And then we had, Callaway steelheads were always like, and I remember same thing about the Titleist, the J version. Actually, I remember going to the pro shop and it was like, I just, you're like 8 years old and like J means jumbo and it's huge. And you're like, oh my God, I've never seen a club that big. But I think, if I had to look back onto like, Scotty Cameron like played such a huge role. And like that guy's freaking genius with how he sort of like captured, the brains of the golfing world and from a marketing level. And like, that was so aspirational to me that when I've had enough money somehow on a birthday, Christmas combined, and I don't know how much was like a standard Scotty Cameron back in the day, like 300 or 275 or something like that.
Something like that.
Like I just remember like my mom driving me to Golf Galaxy to like buy a Scotty Cameron putter. That was like kind of my first like my club, I guess, that I'd really like lusted after. And then of course like you never lose that. Like I feel like now I finally settled on like a putter that I love and have forever, but like
which
you
is
catch
what?
that.
You can't say that. You got to tell them. Right?
I got the Laguna, Scotty Cameron. I'll bring it out right now. Here we go.
Yeah,
this guy right here, a little Brad Faxon 2.5
studio. Yeah, look at that thing.
And that's
beautiful.
So yeah, that's my baby. I've not strayed for that for years, but like, dude, that's that's
the head
Scotty.
cover. Let's see the head cover though. Who is that?
Ooh. Sure gang.
I know the guy who made that.
Yeah, that was the one basically. But yeah, I think it's to what people are looking for on Mully, and I was just played against Sports the other day and bought a set of Mizuno blades from the 90s for $100, and I was like, man, this is, and it gives you that little like serotonin hit, right, where you're just like, it's it's like a Pixar movie where you're like flash back in time into like some memory of a pro on TV or advertisement you saw as a kid, and yeah, I think I'm always like chasing those little like treasure hunts, man. So
yeah,
and
there's
some
Sugarloaf stuff. Oh, it does. Yeah, I was gonna say there's some Sugarloaf stuff on Mully right now that goes pretty quick. That's a hot selling item. So well done. Yeah,
thanks, man.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good to hear.
No, it's great. The merch game right now is really cool. It's great to see a lot of the classics become, not, I don't want to say revive, but the classics have always been classics. But like the MP 14s, the cut muscle by Mizuno, a lot of those irons are coming back, but they're getting refinished, and they're getting like new ferrules on them, and they're maybe getting new paint job or buffing or chroming. And it's like, whoa, it's like you're seeing all these older classics with a new spin, like a new face on it. Like it's like the 90s revived. It's pretty freaking cool. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think this is probably applicable to like other sectors too. It's like, my dad was into like '60s muscle cars that like I could care less about them. Where like we just like stuff from when we were like impressionable youth, basically, is like the theme of this podcast, I think.
True.
And so there's like it's to me it's like crazy, like some of the values of these old clubs are just through the roof, and yeah, people are refinishing them to like these minty levels, and it's really it's funny because like these are things like Sugarloaf has like been encouraging, like have fun, like you go buy that blade set. Like it doesn't have to be your everyday gamer, but like it's a new way to experience the game. And like, and then 4 years later, you look up and like prices are through the roof, and like you can't get anything anymore, and you're like, oh man, I just like was part of like creating a monster. But like, it's so cool that folks are into this stuff. I mean, we did an event last year where you had to play with blades and persimmons, and like that was
How
cool,
cool.
and like everyone embraced
How
it. So,
cool.
yeah, man, it's awesome. I'm pumped that I love what you guys are doing. Just as
Thank you, man.
a triple side note.
Thank you. So final question, then we'll do our goodbye, but I have to know this. So this is kind of like a question I ask all the guests. And I'm sure you can relate to this analogy. When we were kids, I'd always have that 3-foot putt, right? And the 3-foot putt for me was to win the Masters, just that green jacket. So it was like, I have like that green jacket is more, it's just more than a green jacket. It's like, it's a symbol for kind of like achievements in life. So the question is now, I mean, I assume we're both not going to be professional golfers and we're both not going to play in the Masters. Maybe in the 1% chance it happens, but hey,
I honestly wake up sometimes and I'm like, it's going to happen, dude. Like I could win the mid amateur. Like there's a chance. It's
then I'm going to say, I'm not going to close that door on you. I'm going to close that door on myself. But what is your green jacket now? Like, as a father, as a business owner, as a creative, like what is your green jacket that keeps you going? Like, what are you pushing towards?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think fatherhood really, informs a lot of, the sort of life goals and dreams, and just being able to provide for my family in a way that, that my family, had given me, and like being able to have those afford opportunities of like, man, wouldn't it be nice to be able to take my kid when he's 15 to like a Pinehurst level area or something. So, I think, not to be shallow, but like definitely financial success, like is like, and creating, growing Sugarloaf into like a proper brand, and having creative partners who can help me do that. Like that's like definitely one of the like goals of mine. Like I said, like I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface on what's possible for Sugarloaf Social Club as a brand. I think this golf course, the Sugarloaf Field Club we've gotten involved with in upstate New York, I mean, that's a bit of a green jacket dream come true. Like I didn't think I'd be like an owner of a golf facility in my early 30s. But where else can that go? And I said this on another podcast, but like, and this is a bit like vamping, but like Mike Kaiser like started with like a little 9-hole course in Michigan. Like it's not crazy to think like, well, what if Field Club's a success, and through that we meet some people with deeper pockets who can help us realize other dreams. Like, well, what if we could buy Sugarloaf Mountain, which is a lost core crunch course in Orlando, Florida, buy that back, and like Sugarloaf is like come home and complete full circle. What if we could like make some cool shipping club in some high density urban area, and like that's serving the community and is also like a business venture. I mean, there's like I am not done building brands or being a part of brands, and what if Sugarloaf buys a couple other brands and we have a family of brands?
It's kind of like what if there was like a bulldog with a Mully logo on a Sugarloaf item that only made like 50 of them? Like, I have the same ideas you have, bro. Like it's crazy.
We could definitely make something. That'd be fun.
Gotta do that then. I mean, that would be my green jacket moment. Thanks for asking, but yeah, that'd be awesome. I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah, sorry, but you're right. No, the sky's the limit. Thank you.
Let's do a tour visor or something. That'd be sick.
Masters coming up. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking I'm like a special little Masters little thing, or maybe like the bulldog eating a little pimento sandwich. I don't know.
I mean, he's got a green sweater already. Like, man. Yeah, no, that's a sick logo for sure.
I appreciate it.
But
I can't take
yeah,
credit
I
for it.
don't.
That was my buddy Tony Napton, who did some random golf club stuff. He has Radry now. He's a good friend of mine. He's just a good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to cut you off. I think for you and your creativity and what you've built with Sugarloaf and now the Field Club, the sky is the limit. I mean, it seems like a lot of things you touch turn into gold, and people know your name and people respect you as a professional in the space. Which, I mean, I was always taught your reputation is the most valuable thing you can have. And Ian, you've done such a tremendous job on all fronts, brother. I think that there's just a lot more for you professionally and Sugarloaf creatively. I'm so excited to see what comes out in this new year. To wrap, I definitely want to give you the mic and mute myself and shut up. But I want you to, any personal thanks, to your family. I'm sure your dad is at it, and your brother has a huge influence on you in your golf life, in your creative life. But is there anyone else in your camp, your friends, your people, your partners that you'd like to thank? And give the audience a little teaser as what is to come in these coming months.
Definitely. To make this as short as possible, but just thinking of some fun folks to highlight. I mean, obviously, like, my dad from day one was just, encouraging and supportive. And I mean, there is a bit of like luck involved with, golf is an expensive game. And I think there's a lot more outlets nowadays and community support for folks like less fortunate to be a part of this awesome sport that we all love and know has like tons of value for years and years and years to come in people's lives. But that's just like a huge thanks. Can't thank of enough for like investing in me, and like taking me on trips and buying me clubs and getting me lessons and offering me experiences. So that's definitely like first and foremost for sure. I think my wife has been like an incredible cheerleader and support system. I mean, like, we didn't really get to this, but I had a nice, very safe, well-paying job on Capitol Hill. And I was like, I'm going to leave this and like start a hat brand, and like, that's a really hard pitch to make to your fiance, and who you just bought a house with. And like, she was there like those first years. I mean, it was like, we're watching like TV and she's helping me pack boxes in our sunroom sort of thing. And so, she's been an awesome, teammate throughout all that. And luckily we have a warehouse now, so thank goodness for that. But it's I think that's huge. And there's just so many folks like from those early days of Sugarloaf who, even like, I remember like Andrew Haynes like buying like a hat, right, like in one of our first drops. And like these people who are in golf like don't go away. And like, I remember each and every one of the early supporters. I mean, I'll even shout out Putter Kid, man, like, a little 14-year-old kid at the time, like bugging us and like helping us do some stuff on the side. And my tact with like people in the golf industry, it's like, if they're enthusiastic, it's not like they're gonna like just disappear the next day. So tried to have been good to people. And too many to thank. I mean, I can think back to even like, I went to high school with Marco Mera's son Sean, and like would sleep at his house a lot of nights. And all of a sudden I'm hitting balls next to like Tiger Woods and Charles Howell's coming over, and there's like, it's just like stuff like that where it's like people just through golf like let you into their world. And like, that's just like, can't thank everyone enough who have ever, even the guys like who drove me around in Scotland to go to different courses, like didn't have to do that. So it's incalculable the amount of people I think all of us like need to thank. But yeah.
Well, to wrap it full circle, I'm going to say that your story is inspiring. I hope anyone listening is inspired to go and just start. That the community, that the muse, that the gift that is golf and the relationship we have with it, while it touches all of us in a really unique way, the gifts are pretty similar, right? The community, the loyalty, the compassion, the support, that's unanimous. And I feel like as it gives it to us, we give it back to it. I give back through our creative outlet, which is Mully. You give it back through Sugarloaf and your creative endeavors and now Field Club. Dude, there's so much. If I could ever help you, I'm not sure that's possible, but I would love to, man. Ian, you're an inspiration to us here. So I appreciate you, brother. And are you in the DC area still now?
Yeah. I live in Reston, Virginia. So Northern Virginia.
So I'm not that familiar with DMV, but I'm going to, Rockville, like Bethesda, Rockville.
Sure. Absolutely.
So my business partner, we actually have an office, a Mully office in Rockville. I'm going to go there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going there in 2 weeks. So if you're around, brother, we got to meet up.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. Gotta get a drink, and that would be incredible, man. That's crazy. But yeah, great to meet you. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, you follow these people on Instagram and you DM for years, and they're kind of like old friends, but like I don't even know the names of these people. I don't even know what they look like sometimes. And so it's like it's just so crazy that like, and like I love doing these things because, well, shit. I mean, let's be pals. Like for real. So yeah, man. Thank you again, and didn't totally answer your question like what's on tap for Sugarloaf. I mean, we're trying to do bigger, better things always, and from polos and quarter zips, and it's gotten harder, I think, in the world to like be a small brand. I mean, I think that'd be the opposite almost, but like with rising costs and minimums, like it's tough. So luckily we have some good partners who are really bullish on our future, and like there's so much I want to do. Like yeah, our product photography should be better. Like it's whacker now. Like yes, we should be on a different website platform to like have better analytics. Like of course, like a 3PL solution, we shouldn't be like having Matt go to the warehouse every day to like pack and ship stuff. There are 3PL solutions that do that for you. So it's those little like non-sexy things that I think like I'm like excited about on the back end of Sugarloaf. That all comes with its own headaches and speed bumps, but yeah, a lot of cool, like I told you, like we're doing something with the original Penguin, hopefully for Father's Day. So always cool collabs in the works, and we got a collab with Beams coming out soon, which previous Beam collaborations have just been in Japan, but we're going to launch some of it stateside in a few months. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff, man. I'm going to the PGA show next week. So
you are?
I don't know when this pod will drop. So are you headed down there?
No, we've been a couple years, and this year we decided to opt out. We've got a lot of activations this year, and we got to be smart with our time because there's a few of us. So, but yeah, you're gonna have a blast. And you've been before, yeah. So you're gonna have a blast. For me, it's in my opinion, it's just a really great opportunity to network, which is the sad reason I'm not going. The show itself is decent, but yeah, it's all about networking and people.
Oh, totally. I'm like I got to see my pals, and it's just you don't get. The guys from Japan don't fly over to America every day. So
100%.
Fine, I'll go to Florida for a day. But yeah, man, love the chat. Honestly, like we can do this however again and often or never again, whatever you want.
No, bro, I would totally check in with you. Love to check in with you. I might hold you when we get off the record. Might hold you accountable to some Mully collaboration there because I would love to do that. And anything with that bulldog next to you guys, I guess the fanboy in me is coming out. But yeah, I would love that. But we'll connect. Let's try and connect when I'm in DC. Do something. But dude, I just appreciate your time and look forward to watching everything that's coming out.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you soon, bud. Thanks.